The night was quiet, almost too quiet. And then it happened. My sister's voice cut through the calm like a scalpel, precise, cold, deliberate. "Arrest him." She pointed at my 11-year-old son as if he were a criminal she had trained her eyes to see for years. I froze, clutching my purse, my nails digging into leather, every heartbeat echoing like a war drum in my skull. The officers hesitated, one young, nervous, uncertain. "Ma'am, he's just a child," he said. Her response was measured deadly in its calm. "Check his backpack. He stole my bracelet. $20,000. And there it was, the first betrayal, my parents standing behind her silent, witnessing my child being accused, paralyzed, terrified, and doing absolutely nothing. That night, the world fractured. In one breath, I realized something no one ever wants to admit. The people we trust most can become our greatest threat. Every look, every word, every smug smile my sister wore was a premeditated act of domination, a calculated exertion of power, and the law, the system we believe will protect, bends to human cunning far too often. As the metal cuffs closed around my son's tiny wrists, I felt a part of me die and another darker part awaken. That cold, unforgiving clarity, the one they try to teach in whispers in forgotten corners of history, surged inside me. Because power isn't given. Power is taken often in silence, often in shadows, often after the world tells you there is nothing you can do. That night, I began learning the rules they never wanted me to know. Most people think betrayal is loud, shouting, slamming doors, breaking plates, but real betrayal is quiet. It walks on soft feet. It smiles. It hugs you with one arm while hiding a knife in the other. That's how my family operated. My parents didn't need to say a word that night. Their silence was their signature, the same silence they'd perfected for decades, the same silence they used to keep their own image spotless while letting everyone else drown. When they watched my son, their grandson, get handcuffed, they weren't shocked, they weren't horrified. They were compliant because their loyalty had never belonged to truth or justice or blood. It belonged to hierarchy, to the family power structure. And in their world, my sister was the golden child. The one who could lie without blinking, the one whose sins they swept under expensive rugs, the one they would protect until the world burned. This wasn't just a false accusation. It was a generational pattern and inheritance of manipulation. My sister didn't plant a bracelet that night. She planted a lesson she learned from them long ago. Control the narrative, control the outcome. It's one of the oldest strategies in dark human history, taught not in textbooks but in family dinners, whispered behind closed doors. A system of psychological dominance disguised as keeping the peace. As the police car pulled away, the realization hit me with the force of a collapsing empire. This was never about my son. This was about power, and I had just witnessed the moment my family chose their allegiance. But they didn't know that true betrayal doesn't destroy you. It sharpens you. It awakens a version of you that cannot be manipulated anymore. That night, I didn't break. I became something they weren't prepared to face. In the hours that followed, I watched my son through the glass of the police station, trembling, eyes wide, whispering, "Mom, I didn't do it." Every plea he made echoed inside me like a drumbeat of injustice, a rhythm that would not be silenced. I realized then that cruelty is rarely spontaneous, it is calculated. My sister had weaponized the very system meant to protect us. She understood human fear, human instinct, and most chillingly, human love. She knew exactly what strings to pull to make me powerless while she smiled, untouched above the chaos she created. I began retracing the steps, every word, every smirk, every subtle taunt. Patterns emerged. I remembered the charity dinners, the fake invoices, the stories she told to make herself untouchable. I saw the framework of deception she had spent years constructing hidden accounts. Shell companies, half-truths, invisible power networks designed to operate in shadows. And my parents, silent pillars, enabling it, guardians of her empire, invisible architects of my son's humiliation. Power hides in the details, in plain sight, and humans are blind to it until it's too late. What had been dismissed as family tension was a microcosm of larger forces, the same psychological manipulations that have shaped empires, controlled markets, and enslaved minds across centuries. Those who master it dictate reality, and those who fail to recognize it are consumed. It was in that dark moment, watching Eli cry behind the glass, that I understood the only way to survive and to reclaim justice was to play by the rules they thought I didn't know. Knowledge is power, but applied knowledge is lethal. And I was ready. Cry behind the glass. If you feel the weight of betrayal, type "I see the truth" twice in the comments. Anchor it. Let it mark your identity before we descend further. By sunrise, I was no longer just a mother in despair. I had become a strategist, a silent force moving through shadows that no one dared enter. The same systems my sister had weaponized against my family were now mine to understand, mine to manipulate. Every transaction, every casual brag, every false smile she'd worn for years was a thread I could pull, and pulling threads reveals the fabric of control hiding beneath. I began collecting evidence, screenshots, texts, financial records, inconsistencies that only someone paying attention could see. Each piece felt alive in my hands, buzzing with the potential to dismantle the she had built. She had relied on the fact that her power was invisible, untouchable, but nothing built on lies is invincible. The moment she planted that bracelet, she left a doorway open, an entry point for truth to walk through. The lesson hidden in history is clear: corrupt power always underestimates its prey. From tyrants in shadowed halls to modern manipulators hiding behind smiles, the pattern repeats. Those who think fear is enough to control others forget that observation is sharper than intimidation, patience deadlier than anger. I learned it that morning, pacing the floor, plotting every step. And yet, as methodical as my plan became, a part of me stayed raw human. I felt the ache, and the dominoes began to fall silently at first, then all at once. By the next morning, emails were sent, calls were made, and the veil she had carefully maintained started to tear. Every fraudulent transaction, every fake invoice, every lie she had spun for years was now visible to the people who had once trusted her. Her empire, built on manipulation, family loyalty, and fear, was cracking from within. News outlets began to pick up on the whispers, minor alerts turning into headlines. Charity director under investigation for massive fraud scheme. Her name, once untouchable in our circles, was now unavoidable. She had relied on invisibility, anonymity within influence. But light has a way of revealing everything, and the more she tried to control the narrative, the faster the truth consumed her. At home, Ellie's quiet gaze reminded me why this mattered. Justice was not just about exposing her. It was about reclaiming what she had stolen: a child's innocence, a family's trust, a mother's sense of safety. I watched him sleep, wrists still red from handcuffs, and I knew that revenge without precision is hollow. This had to be surgical, complete, undeniable. The system, though slow and often blind, responded when presented with undeniable proof. Banks froze accounts. Investigators moved carefully, but decisively. The very institutions she had once thought were allies were now instruments of exposure. And every moment, I felt the weight of centuries of human deceit, familial manipulation, corruption, hidden agendas, all converging in this one: personal reckoning. By evening, her world was unraveling, her power diminished, her control evaporating, and she had no idea who was orchestrating it from the shadows. That's the beauty of knowledge in the wrong hands. For those who understand it, the consequences are inevitable. By the time she realized what had happened, it was too late. Her phone rang nonstop, calls from board members, journalists, donors, all demanding answers she couldn't provide. Her carefully constructed facade of control crumbled, revealing the rot beneath, and she called me. Fury laced her voice, but it was brittle, desperate, and for the first time unshielded. "You think this makes you better than me," she screamed. I listened, silent, letting the words hang in the void. Then I spoke, low, deliberate, unshakable. "You destroyed yourself the moment you chose to handcuff my child." Her silence was my answer. No rationalization, no excuses, no manipulation left. And I realized something deeper. This wasn't just revenge, this was awakening. Power once hidden and abused can be reclaimed. Lies once believed can be overturned. Systems once corrupted can be redirected. And the truth once weaponized can liberate. Eli's small hand touched mine as he slept. "Mom, are we okay?" I looked at him, really looked, and for the first time since that night, I smiled. Not the smile of a mother hiding fear, but the quiet, resolute smile of someone who had walked through fire and emerged unbroken. "Yes, baby," I whispered. "We are finally okay." History repeats itself, but only for those who fail to learn its rules. Betrayal, corruption, institutional manipulation, they are constants. But so is the ability to see, to act, to reclaim power. And for those who watch closely, who understand the patterns, the forbidden truths, there is a lesson. Nothing is untouchable. Everything has a weakness, and some awakenings change you forever. Remember this, watch carefully, learn, because the darkness you fear may already be within your own home, and the power to confront it may already be in your hands. As the dust settled, I realized something profound. What happened to my son, to our family, wasn't just an isolated act of cruelty. It was a reflection of every hidden hierarchy, every manipulation, every lie that thrives in silence. My sister's betrayal, my parents' complacency, the system bending under the weight of influence, they were all pieces of a puzzle that most people never see until it's too late. But we saw it, I saw it, and we survived it. Eli is safe now, but the world he glimpsed that day, the fear, the injustice, the cold reality of how power can be weaponized will stay with him. And it should, because awareness is protection. Knowledge is armor. We can't erase what happened, but we can reclaim control. I learned that power isn't given, it's taken. That silence is complicity, that the people you trust most may be the ones who need to be watched the closest, and that in the darkest moments clarity can emerge stronger than rage. For me, that night was more than a trauma. It was a metamorphosis. I became a guardian, a strategist, a force no one could manipulate. I turned the tools of deception against the deceiver. I exposed the lies, revealed the corruption, and reminded the world and my family that actions have consequences, no matter how invisible or calculated. This story isn't just mine. It's a warning, a lesson, a call to wake up. Look closer, trust wisely, and never let anyone weaponize fear against innocence. The truth is dangerous, yes, but in the right hands it is unstoppable. And once you see it, nothing will ever feel the same again.